Good evening and welcome. I think it was interesting you mentioned that I like figures, is that when one of my clients met one of my sons, they said, I knew exactly that he was your son because all he could talk about was key performance indicators. So clearly it rubs off in the family. So first of all, let me share my screen.
Excuse me.
That looks as though it's up on the screen. Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Toastmasters has a big challenge. After several years of continuous growth, we're now seeing a significant decline in membership. So what can we do about it? You'll see that we've gone down from 364,000 members in 2020 to 282,000 members in June 2022, a reduction of 82,000 members and a member retention rate of 56%. In our district in October, we've gone down from 3,715 member payments in 2019 to 2,833 member payments in 2022, a loss of nearly 900 renewals in 4 years. So are there any clues as to why and what we can do about it? Certainly there will always be some justifiable reasons why people leave, but even moving away could be a transfer to another club. I belong to, and I've worked with several other membership organisations, and the slide shows some of the possible reasons for membership decline and a ranking of the possible reasons. And this might help us to focus on the main causes. In 2017-2018, Toastmasters International carried out some research on member retention. In that year, they had nearly 100,000 non-renewing members, and they asked the questions that you can see on this slide. First of all, did anyone from Toastmasters ever contact you about renewing your membership? 41.5% of those asked actually replied no. And this was followed up with, is there something that could have been done to convince you to renew your membership? And again, 30.8% replied yes. So therefore, we need to do a lot more in following up on absent members and those who are slow to renew their membership. But who's responsible? In fact, we all are: club officers, individual mentors, friends, colleagues. They all have a part to play in supporting and retaining members. In one of my clubs, we produce a record of every meeting that includes meeting attendance, member attendance, and we occasionally publish a summary of league tables, a league table summary. I've always been quite interested in what do most people that follow football do on a first thing on a Sunday morning, and they look at league tables. They look to see where their club is in the league, and maybe similar thing might actually work with members, is if they could see other people making more progress than they are or attending more meetings than they are, it may actually just nudge them to come and spend a bit more time at the club. We believe also that if a member misses several meetings, there's a fair chance that they will not renew. We actually follow up on absentees and try to get them back onto the programme. We also recognise good attenders, and attendance is one of the criteria we use for our Toastmaster of the Year award. And maybe we're even thinking about producing a quarterly attendance award. I suggest that we should regularly review the quality of our meetings. Is there plenty of variety? Are they fun? Are members progressing? Are people regularly attending? And are we getting plenty of visitors? I remember attending a sales training course many years ago when I was introduced to this slide, and it's very relevant to today's discussion. When anyone is in contact with our club or attends one of our meetings, they will experience one of three different emotions. Ouch! It was memorable for its negative experience, and those people that experience a bad experience are likely to tell others about it. It could be an okay experience, no better or worse than they expected, and not so memorable. And very occasionally, it could be a wow experience, something really special and memorable, and they're likely to tell many others about their experience. You will see from this chart that each of those experiences has a corresponding level of loyalty. Defection, unlikely to return. Indifference, they may or may not return, and it depends on if they find something better to do with their time and their money. And affection, likely to keep returning and to be loyal to the organization. You'll often see this 1 to 5 scoring on customer surveys, and that helps identify the level of the customer experience. And maybe it's food for thought when we survey our own members. I would suggest that we should regularly review survey our members and visitors to measure and to identify topics that would help to improve club quality. Fortunately, Toastmasters International has tools to support this. We have the Moments of Truth, based on a brilliant book by Jan Carlson, who was a past president of Scandinavian Airlines. Toastmasters International also has this club quality checklist. Measuring club quality is only part of the exercise because we have to do something about the response. We all measure our weight occasionally, but do we act on what the scales are telling us? Here are some thoughts about moving from an okay perception to a wow, starting from the visitor experience right through to becoming a distinguished Toastmaster. Quality starts from having clear written procedures for how we do things at the club and making sure that officers actually follow them. You certainly wouldn't want to be on a plane if their flight officers weren't following written procedures. Club paperwork, agendas, guest packs, emails, etc. are a good measure of quality and the club's attention to detail. I suggest that we check them out and have a look. People's names are precious to them, so we need to make sure that we get them right. And are we clear about why people have joined our club? What do they want from their membership? Are we helping them to meet their objectives? And do we treat our members like members of our family or a best friend? Something else that I think is really important is that speed actually stuns. Be quick to follow up on inquiries and follow up on problems. And grab every opportunity to recognize and celebrate some bit of success from every member. I also believe that it's important to track, share and publish member progress. If members are progressing and getting recognized for their achievements, they are likely to stay. Toastmasters International have got an excellent pathway achievement chart. And as the current VPE, I'm actually tracking what roles and speeches our members are doing and encouraging them to try something new. Finally, I believe that the first 6 months of membership are critical. I've also seen it in business. If we've not looked after the new member or new employee well in their first 6 months, we are likely to lose them. We should make the welcome into our club something very special. Few clubs, in my experience, vote new members in, and we are actually supposed to. Few clubs, in my experience, have proper induction and orientation ceremony. We should actually make joining our club really, really important. Many new members struggle to get their mind around pathways and to understand meeting roles and how they're carried out. So I would suggest that you assign someone to help them straight away. As a club treasurer, one of the things we introduced was to encourage new members to set up a monthly standing order once they had paid their initial joining fees. In my clubs, a large majority of members have already accumulated their renewal fees by the due date, and that's a lesson that I've learned from health clubs. There is always room for improvement, and if you're a club officer, will you be handing over your role in June 2023 to a far stronger place than when you received it?
Yes, so please welcome our second speaker this evening, Nora Duggan. Thank you, Nora.
Great, thank you. So although I'm a second speaker, John and I and Liz have been working on this behind the scenes for quite a while. So we've divided and conquered. So the lovely part that I have is talking about, okay, so what are the practical things that we can do in our clubs? Now, firstly, can everyone see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. So in practice, so firstly, I'm quite passionate about this, the committee. The committee are fundamentally important to the success of the club. Now, I know that obviously sounds like, of course they are, but it's amazing how you can see committees that not necessarily are working as one team. So it's really important that in the early days, that it's actually, and this is from the president down, that it's not a solo run. This is a teamwork. So yes, you have an individual role, but there's collective ownership, and it's not just, you know, a committee doing their own thing. They're there because they're there to serve the members. And that's really clear in the charter and the memorandums and all of the literature that's been written over the years from Toastmasters in terms of the role of the committee. So these are obviously all the committee roles, but, you know, I work really closely. I'm the VPM, but I work really closely with the VPR, with the VP Ed, with the treasurer, because I'd like to know, well, what's the forecast for the rest of the year in terms of what the costs to run the club. So therefore, I know what my target is in terms of new members that I need to bring in, and also then what our retention numbers need to be every time it comes around to renewal. So, you know, there's multiple layers of how the committee should work together. One of the ways to ensure that it works well is having scheduled committee meetings. Like we meet on the first Monday of every single month. So it's in the diary, everyone knows when it's going to happen, and it just rolls on from month to month. So, and also then the success plan, every committee member should be involved in the writing of that success plan and signing off of it, more importantly. The committee success, obviously there's huge amounts of material written. Club officer training is really important, and there's multiple different layers of support materials that are there for committee members in terms of learning the roles, because we were talking about this before the meeting. Many committee members take on roles that are actually not their professional background, so they may need support and around that. So, you know, if you work in an area that and another committee member is new to that area, do support them. So again, it's one team working together. And celebrate the wins. You know, we just in our club, we reached a number of points, we got the Smedley, you know, so we're celebrating those wins. It's really important that we recognize the success that happens in the club as it happens. Even one new member, you know, recognize that, and the retention of members, recognize that and celebrate them. And I think it's really important as well to encourage all members to be club ambassadors, so that actually, and that can be part of the recruitment plan as well. So you're buying everybody in, that it's not just the committee who's actually running the club, that it's the members' club, so that they play an important role as a club ambassador. Under member recognition, I know John touched on this. This is hugely important to recognize the achievements of the members. And there's so many opportunities. There's new members, completion of pathways, contest winners, entrance, etc. That is me. It's giving a new member certificate to one of our newest members. Tim, he came for one meeting and then signed up. So I know we're talking about membership retention, but what's important with new members is that you're bringing them in early. You're recognizing their role, they're making them feel important. And also, I think John touched on it as well, new members are like in the first 6 months, it's really important to recognize, are they putting their hands up for topics? Are they taking on roles? Have they done their icebreaker? Because if you don't keep them engaged in the early stages, they're going to lose interest and you'll lose them. So it's really important. The winning of the awards, there's loads of them there. Depends, each club have different awards that they recognize throughout the year, or indeed at the end of the year. One thing that we've started to do as well is member testimonials and success stories. So our VPR is doing blogs, and also the voice thing, what's it called? The Vox, on recording success stories.
Podcasts. Is it podcasts?
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's a podcast. So he's been recording members that have been in Toastmasters for a long number of years and asking them why have they been in Toastmasters and what have they got out of it. So again, that's really interesting to hear for somebody who's been around for quite a while, to hear why they've joined. And then he's also now started to interview some of the more recent members, because again, it's giving really interesting considerations to the members. And of course, members like to listen to other members. So, recognize and utilize the members that are around you, because it also then is the members are selling the benefits of Toastmasters and the club for you. So it's it's doing the hard work on your behalf. Membership engagement. Again, John again he did almost the academic, and I'm doing kind of on the ground piece. So, tracking the membership engagement, he showed some forms that it can be used. Reach out. I think John has put it really well that if somebody hasn't shown up for 2 or 3 meetings, keep an eye on them. Because when I look back over the membership engagement in the previous year in the club that I'm currently VPM of, guess what? The 4 members were highlighted as you could see over 6 months where their engagement just disappeared. And when I reached out to them to see if they were coming back this year, no, they weren't. So I think they should have been caught a lot earlier. So we watch and we see who's attending our meetings, but not just that. Also, are they putting up their hand for roles? So at the end of a meeting, we actually call out, our VP Ed calls out, okay, here are the roles that need to be filled at the next meeting. Now, he doesn't put anybody under pressure, and we do it in a very nice, friendly way and engaging way. But inadvertently, we get a lot of roles filled there. But also, he approaches people behind the scenes to say, hey, you've done timer for the last 7 times. Do you think you might like to try something new? So we're trying to engage people to, get involved and be brave and do something new and different. Now, it does take a bit of work, for sure. But if you do it, it works. And ensure new members are getting on their feet. So I noticed 2 meetings ago, and we meet every second week, that our new members had come in, and on the first night, they were all fully engaged and all doing topics. Second night, they were doing nothing. Third night, they were doing nothing. Danger. So we've gone out to them separately. We put in, we made sure that the person who was doing topics had a new members part, so that we would call on the new members specifically, and made sure that the topics were easy for them to engage. Now, that might seem a little bit orchestrated, but it works. So, and people feel, and, the feedback, because we meet in the bar, it's a Friday night, we meet in the bar afterwards, and you can tell by the number of people sitting around as well, the energy in the room, that people felt, oh, that was a brilliant meeting, it was brilliant. And you know why people think it was a brilliant meeting? Because they probably got on their feet and they spoke. And they felt part of the meeting. So that's really important. Induction programs. I do an induction program because I think that Toastmasters, it's not that it's a complex organization, but there's a lot to it. And I think it's really interesting for people to hear about the history of Toastmasters, but also the different roles, how to engage, and yes, to touch on pathways. So I bring a pathways expert with me, who is our VP Ed, who then does literally online, we have a laptop open and we show them about pathways and how to navigate it. So from an early stage, they understand. Welcome new members. You saw that the cert recognition in terms of reaching levels, or an icebreaker, making a big deal about that. Apologies for my psychedelic lights going off in the background. I don't know what's happening. A membership pack again is really important, and then new members introduction on the meeting or the website or social. You have a lot of tools there, just use them. And it's interesting, this point was raised as a question, and then John answered it really well. Begin your grooming for your next committee now. Like, start identifying the fresh blood that are coming into the club. And, if they see you enjoying what you're doing in your role, they might want to do it in the next year. So, and then obviously mentoring programs are another way of really engaging members. Again, we touched on this early. This is really important. Actually, this is a perfect example. Don't assume you know what's going on in your club just because you're part of it every single meeting. It's like a relationship I was in once. I thought we were going along really well. And then I said, so are you happy? Was I? Sorry, I asked that question. Or not, because I got the truth. And, anyway, the thing is, I didn't expect that answer. So don't assume you understand unless you actually ask the question. We mentioned there members' interest surveys, or using SurveyMonkey, customize it, to whatever way you want to, but ask your club members what they're looking for. Are they happy with the way the meetings are run? Is there anything else they're looking for? Are their personal goals being hit? And if not, why are they not? And obviously the club quality check is really important. And any recommendations? I was part of a club where I ran this, and we had a really vibrant membership, and it was so vibrant, and that people actually asked for a social club. So we set up a subcommittee on a social club for the members as a result of that. So it worked really well. The thing is as well, don't just gather the information and sit on it. How many organizations, professional organizations, have we sat in where they've said, we really care. Tell us what you think, and then nothing ever happens. That's really frustrating for a member. So if you're going to ask them, commit to it and deliver on the actions.